Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video lecture, we will see about fiber splices, connectors and OTDR. Let us start with fiber splices. A permanent joint formed between two individual optical fibers in the field is known as fiber splice. Splices are divided into two categories depending upon splices technique used. First is fusion splicing and second mechanical splicing. So let us see what happened in a fusion splicing or welding. It is done by applying heat to the ends of two fibers which are buted and pre-aligned. So heating is done either by using flame or arc. This causes ends to soften and they can easily fuse. In a fusion splices, the fiber is first stripped at the ends, are positioned properly and aligned in order to achieve good continuity of the transmission medium at the junction point. Then second, flame heating by microplasma torches or oxyhydride burners, which involves the rounding of the fiber ends by softening and pressing the fibers together, and then again fusing with strong arc as shown in this figure. So the first step is apply heat with the help of microplasma torches to the ends of two optical fiber. Then second, rounding of the fiber ends by softening and pressing the fiber together, and finally two fibers are connected permanently. Okay, so the fusion splicing techniques have one drawbacks here, that is due to heating fiber becomes weak. So that's why to overcome this disadvantage we are using second type of splicing technique, that is mechanical splicing. So in mechanical splicing, they are not fused but held in alignment by some mechanical structure just like tubes or V grooves, and using index matching fluid in between. And in splicing techniques are used to reduce the insertion loss at the joints, typically about 0.1 to 0.2 decibel. So in that, the first type is snug tube splice and the second is V groove splice. So see here in a snug tube splice, here it is a common method of mechanical splicing is placing the fiber ends in and that accurately produced alignment tube. This tube may be glass or ceramic capillary with the inner diameter just large enough to accept the optical fiber, and a transparent adhesive is injected in this capillary to give mechanical sealing and index matching of the splices. So here in this snug tube splices, we have to just insert two optical fibers in that tube, and some adhesive material is also inserted in that tube for mechanical sealing, and then after some time it will automatically connected to each other. ओके, तो नेक्स्ट होता है आपका यहाँ पे वी ग्रूव स्प्लाइसिंग मेथड, जिसमें वी ग्रूव सबस्ट्रेट इनटू विच the prepared two fibers ends are pressed. This gives alignment of the prepared fiber ends through insertion and secured by epoxy resin adhesive, and then a flat glass plate is covered or pressed tightly as shown in this figure. So here the V groove glass substrate is used. On that two fibers are placed, and this flat glass plate is used for pressing tightly the two fiber cables, and after some time they are getting connected permanently. Next point is connectors. Connectors are demountable splices. It should maintain similar tolerance requirement to splices in order to couple light between fibers efficiently, but they must accomplish it in a removable fashion. Also, it should allow for repeated connections and disconnections without problem of fiber alignment, which may degrade the performance of the transmission link. So there are some of the characteristics of connectors. They must have, the first characteristics is interchangeability. That means we can easily interchange the connectors of two fibers. Second, the low coupling losses. Third, the connectors should be easy to assemble. And fourth, they are easy to connect. And the most important is having low cost. Okay, so fiber connectors are separated into two broad categories. The first is butte joint connectors and the second expanded beam connectors. First is butt joint connectors. These type of connectors are made by joining or closely aligning two fiber ends to each other so that fiber core axes coincide. We can see in this figure. Here the fiber ends are coincide to each other. And the second is expanded beam connectors. These types used lenses at the joint so that it expands the beam from transmitting fiber end and reduces it again to size so that it is compatible with the receiving end fiber. We can see in this figure. Here the first lens is used at the transmitter side and the second lens is used at the receiver side. With the help of these lenses we can connect the two optical fibers temporarily. Okay, so the butt joint connectors are widely used. There are main two types of butt joint connectors. The first is straight sleeve and second concentric or tapered sleeve connectors. This bifurcation is according to the ferrules used to butt join the fiber ends. If the alignment sleeve is parallel to the fiber even at the joint, then it is said to be straight sleeve. This is our straight sleeve connector. Here the fiber end is parallel to the alignment sleeve, and if the alignment sleeve, this is your alignment sleeve, if it is concentric or the tapered at the butt joint, then it is said to be tapered sleeve. We can see in this figure. Here this is for straight sleeve and tapered sleeve connectors. Okay, so the two fibers to be connected are permanently bounded with the epoxy resin in metal plugs known as ferrules. This is ferrule. And expanded beam connectors are useful for multi-fiber connection and edge connections for printed circuit boards where alignments like lateral and longitudinal are difficult to achieve. So these are also of two types: connectors with micro lenses and molded plastic lens connectors. Okay, so after that, here there are some losses which are occur in connectors. The connectors require high return losses, that is low reflection level, and low insertion losses, that is high optical signal throughout levels. So these losses cause unwanted feedback into the sources like laser cavity, which affects the optical frequency response. Then the line width and the internal noise of the source, which results in a degradation of system performance. So return loss can be possible in this types of connector. So the next point is OTDR. In fiber optic networks, optical time domain reflectometer is an optoelectronic instrument used for characterized an optical fiber. OTDR does not measure loss, but instead of it, it can looking at the backscattering of light in the fiber. In the fiber, light is scattered in all directions, include back toward the source. The OTDR uses this backscattered light to make its measurements. It sends out a very high power pulses and measure the light coming back. So as the pulse travels along the fiber, some of the light is lost by absorption and realized scattering. So the pulse is also attenuated at a discrete locations, such as splices, connectors, and bends, where local abrupt changes in the waveguide geometry couples light out the core and into the cladding. So when the pulse encounters discontinuities in the index of refraction, such as those found in connectors or the cleaved end of a fiber, then the part of the pulse's optical energy is reflected back toward the OTDR. At any point in time, the light the OTDR sees is the light scattered from the pulse passing through a region of the fiber. Consider OTDR pulse as a being a virtual source that is testing all the fiber between itself and the OTDR as it moves down the fiber. Since it is possible to calibrate the speed of the pulse as it passes down the fiber, and the OTDR can correlate what it sees in the background light with an actual location in the fiber. Thus, it can create a display of the amount of backscattered light at any point in the fiber. Thus, we can say an OTDR injects a series of optical pulses into the fiber under test. It also extracts from the same end of the fiber light that is scattered back and refracted back from points in the fiber where the index of refraction changes. This working principle works like a radar or sonar, sending out a pulse of light from a very powerful laser that is scattered by the glass in the core of the fiber. The intensity of the return pulses is measured and integrated as a function of time, and it is plotted as a function of the fiber length. An OTDR is used for estimating the length of the fiber and the overall attenuation, including splices and mated connector losses. It may also be used to locate faults such as breaks. So remember, the light has to go out and come back, so we have to factor that into the time calculations, cutting the time in half, and the loss calculations. Since the light sees loss both ways, the power loss is a logarithmic function, so the power is measured in decibel. So there are some physical limitations in OTDR testing. The OTDR suffers from several serious uncertainties in measurement and physical limitations. The measurement uncertainties come primarily from the variations in backscatter of the fiber. The backscatter coefficient is a function of the material properties of the glass in the core and the diameter of the core. Variations of the fiber material or geometry can cause major changes in the backscattered light. So connectors or splices loss must be measured from both directions and average to remove this source of error. So there are different components used in OTDR, as we can see in this figure. The first is laser source, second beam splitter, test fiber, then photodetector and oscilloscope. It operates by periodically launching narrow pulse which are generating from the laser source under test fiber. This launching is done either by using principle of directional coupler or a beam splitter coupler. The backscatter light is then detected by the detector, and this backscatter light is then analyzed for the amplitude and temporal characteristics of the waveform. The Fresnel reflection and Rayleigh scattering, which produces the backscattering of light launched by laser, occurs when light enters a medium that has different refractive index. When glass air refractive index interferences, then a reflected power will be PR is equal to P in bracket Ni minus N0 upon Ni plus N0 bracket square. So where N1 is the refractive index of fiber and N0 is the refractive index of air, where P in is the power launched by laser. So here, as we can see in this OTDR display, this reflected power is then traced on the display of OTDR, and the scale of the vertical axis is the logarithmic reflected power level in a decibel, and the horizontal axis denotes the distance between the instrument and the measurement point in the fiber. We can see in this figure the trace displayed shows the pulses from Fresnel reflection at the input end where power is launched. Then after that, next spikes shows that the abrupt shift in the power is due to the power loss in the connector, or we can say due to the splices. Then after that, some spike shows the reflection from fiber joints, fiber imperfection and fiber end. Decaying wave in the graph shows the Rayleigh scattering as the input pulse travels far along the fiber. So there are some performance parameter for OTDR. The first is dynamic range and second is measurement range. In dynamic range, it defines as the difference between initial backscatter power level and the noise level after 3 minutes of measurement time. It denotes maximum fiber loss that can be measured, and it shows the limitations of OTDR. Then second is the measurement range. It is defined as the maximum allowable attenuation between an OTDR and an event like link, splice point or connection point or fiber break. It shows the capability of OTDR to identify events in the fiber under test. Okay, so the next point is that where we can use the OTDR. What are the applications of OTDR? So the OTDR is used in fiber fault location or in attenuation measurement. So in fiber fault location, OTDR is used to measure and locate breaks and imperfections in the fiber. Location of the break can be calculated by measuring the time between the pulse reflected from the front end and far end of the fiber. If the difference of time is t, then the length b at which break is detected is given by b is equal to ct upon 2n1. This is b, that is equal to length at which break detected, which is given by formula ct divided by 2n1. c is the speed of light and t is time divided by 2 into n1 is the refractive index of fiber. So in this way we can find out the fault which can be occurred in fiber. So friends, in today's video lecture we have seen splices, connectors and OTDR. So we will stop here and end our today's session with motivational quote. And today's motivational quote for you is: good, better, best, never let it rest till your good is better and your better is best. Thank you for watching my video.